People think the best moves are to coastal areas.
Not anymore. Across the map, a quiet change is happening. And it is not toward the costly big cities or crowded beach towns everyone talked about in 2022. It is happening in states where pay goes further, housing makes sense, and hospitals actually answer calls. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are breaking down the top 10 states smart Americans are moving to in 2026, the places leading the next part of U.S. movement in 2026. These are not random moves. These are the smart relocations, people seeking real jobs, low-cost homes, and calm. We will look at 10 states where chance meets good sense. Job growth you can feel in your pay, from chip factories in the desert to EV centers in the south. Homes you can actually buy that do not move on wheels. And neighborhoods where checking crime does not cause worry. You will also see how each state's future is already being made: chip areas in Arizona, rocket places in Alabama, renewable power in Kansas, and EV making in the Carolinas and Tennessee. So stay with us. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which states are quietly beating the market, and why moving there before 2027 might be one of the smartest money choices you ever make. Keep watching. Our number one proves how job growth, no income tax, and housing sense can beat any coastal area. Number 10, Arizona. Arizona, not any more paradise, unless your idea of paradise includes data centers, desert sunsets, and pay that finally matches rent. Arizona used to be the last part of the lower 48, joining the Union in 1912. Today, it is once again finishing a new picture, this time of American chance. The Grand Canyon State is not just retirees and simple houses anymore. It is what happens when building cranes meet semiconductor clean rooms and decide to stay. The Greater Phoenix area is now one of the Southwest's strongest job centers. Moving goods, healthcare, aerospace, and defense tech have all started here, but the big news is chips. One chip plant may employ 1,500 workers, yet the real effect is in the extra jobs: repair teams, food sellers, parts makers, and security. Every chip made here supports 100 paychecks somewhere else. Tucson has its own path with defense work, optics making, and university research, plus a cost of living that will not shock you. Head north and you will find retirement places that support whole small economies: new doctors, new hospitals, and a whole service group built around seasonal residents and their golf carts. Now about the housing. Yes, prices rose during the 22 boom, but the market has calmed in most areas. Both rent and buying costs sit slightly below the national average. You will get more home here than in California or Washington, even if the summer heat feels like a test. Crime story of areas. Suburban quiet places stay calm while the nightlife centers can get busy. Healthcare strong, especially in Phoenix and Tucson, where seasonal residents bring their health plans and want world-class heart care. So if your skills involve making, fixing, or moving important things, the desert is hiring and paying. Would you still move to Arizona knowing July might test you? Stay tuned. Our next stop trades dry heat for wide flatlands and quietly growing paychecks. Number 9, Kansas. Flyover country only if you are not paying attention. Kansas is quietly earning from steady, reliable jobs, low costs, and neighbors who still wave on the road. Not because they are angry, but because that is just Kansas. For many years, this was the settle-down state, the place you moved to when big dreams ran out of energy. But today, Kansas is gaining new respect as one of America's most low-cost housing states. While the coasts deal with high prices, the Sunflower State is turning simple living into a strong point. Here is what is driving it. The Kansas economy is a reliable worker, not a news chaser. Aerospace, food processing, plastics, and farming form the base industries that do not get attention, but keep paychecks steady. And with new EV battery places and renewable energy projects growing, the future looks quietly powered around Kansas City. New storage places and rail areas feed a growing moving goods path connecting both coasts. Housing. You will smile when you see the prices. Home prices and rent here sit well below the national average. In Wichita, you will find starter homes next to aviation. Plants. In Topeka, government pay meets Old Town charm. And on the Kansas side of Kansas City, you get big city things without the big city property tax cost. Crime in most medium cities is easy to handle. If you avoid a few bad streets, local knowledge helps a lot. Healthcare is surprisingly strong with centers around Wichita and Kansas City, where you can find experts in your plan and still park close. The trade-off: life moves at a calmer pace. Young people might call it dull, but give them 10 years. They will be back when they realize quiet has worth. Would you swap nightlife for a house payment that feels easy? Because up next, we are going where rocket engines, ports, and Southern charm all share the same paycheck. Number 8, Alabama. If you still picture Alabama as one long cotton field and a football song, you are many years behind. This state has quietly changed, and in 2026, it is no longer a one business story. Welcome to a place where rockets launch, ships move, and house payments still make sense. Let us start in Huntsville, better known as Rocket City. Once home to the Saturn V past, it is now full of engineers who wanted big city jobs without big city rent. Aerospace, defense, and tech all grow here. And the Mazda Toyota plant nearby keeps adding jobs, helping suppliers and moving networks up and down North Alabama. Birmingham is still the state's business center with medicine, law, banking, and small business strength at its core. The city is working hard to stay open for business. And for buyers ready to fix up a house, there are real low-cost deals hidden in those old blocks. Then you have got Mobile, the port city, growing fast for world shipping. The Port of Mobile is getting bigger, creating steady work for welders, moving managers, and shipbuilders. Add in Tuscaloosa and its car footprint, and Alabama's economy suddenly looks a lot more varied. Now for the real check. Huntsville's growing appeal means very cheap days are over, though it is still low cost by national levels. Birmingham has some hard areas. Know your neighborhoods before buying. Mobile offers wet weather, seafood, and housing prices. Your house payment app will not be shocked over crime. It has risen a little, but still better than some states. Healthcare solid across major cities from Birmingham's hospital networks to Huntsville's research medicine. Care quality stays high across the state. And here is your culture tip. When someone says roll tide, do not ask what it means. Just smile and nod. Trust us, it is safer that way. Would you trade some wet weather for a paycheck and rocket work? Because next up, we are going where making things meets palm trees, and it is paying off big. Number 7, South Carolina. South Carolina does not make noise, it makes paychecks. From factory lines that work all night to coastal towns that never stop welcoming visitors, the Palmetto State has quietly become one of America's best balanced success stories. Upstate BMW plant in Spartanburg and Boeing hangars in North Charleston support a making web that has not really stopped since 2015. Their supplier networks stretch like roads along the highways, helping everything from machine shops to moving centers. And as the electric vehicle change goes on, EVs in making has become South Carolina new strong point, new factories, new brands, and a new name for a state once known just for beaches and food. Now, let us talk cost of living. Housing prices here sit below the national average in most inland cities. Places like Greenville and Columbia still offer plenty of low-cost choices and family-friendly neighborhoods. But as you get closer to the coast, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, those prices start rising like the summer wet air. Coastal beauty always comes with a higher cost. Crime South Carolina big cities stay quite calm, though some small towns can be hard to predict. Like the other video said, you might go into the wrong one, so do your research before signing a lease. Healthcare strong. MUSC on the coast is a major center and inland systems hold their own. Education a mixed group. The state has both excellent and lower performing school areas. Research them like your shows before moving children there. The payoff job growth across making, medical, and visitor. Areas with enough history to keep your weekends busy. From Fort Sumter, where the first shots of the Civil War happened, to nice downtowns in Greenville and Spartanburg, this state offers both growth and pride. Trade-offs, wet summers, area differences, and visitor traffic that never takes a break. Would you trade ocean views for inland calm and a house payment half the size? Up next, we head west for a place where ski areas and data servers share the same view. Number 6, Utah. Utah is not just mountains and churches. It is one of the most active paths in the modern economy. This is where tech new companies, data firms, and suburban families somehow share the same ski paths. Welcome to the Salt Lake Path, where the workday starts early and often ends on a trail. Salt Lake City supports finance, data, and tech. Just south Provo-Orem, called Silicon Slopes, continues to draw coders, product teams, and founders who want West Coast pay without West Coast rent. Housing here rose fast during the last cycle, but the market has calmed, not fallen. New areas fill the valleys, and there is always talk of a new store opening. The closer you are to ski lifts, the higher the prices. But drive 30 minutes and low cost improves fast. Crime better than most big cities, though Salt Lake City has seen a small rise in recent years. Still, it is considered safe enough for young families and new company movers alike. Healthcare excellent. The Intermountain Network is a regional leader drawing child and special care patients from across state lines. Meaning you can hurt yourself on the slopes and still make it back to work by Monday. Economically, Utah runs on speed. Data centers, biotech growth, and non-stop home building have made construction the unofficial second activity after mountain biking. If your skills say cloud, medicine, or I can use a hammer, Utah has a place for you. The trade-off growth comes with traffic and rising prices around those nice valleys. But at least the air smells like trees, not smoke. Would you trade palm trees for snow and a 5-minute drive to your next big job? Because next we are going to a state that measures success by how wide the roads and the paychecks can stretch. Number 5, Texas. Everything is bigger in Texas, especially the chances. But here's the truth. The Lone Star State is not the wild new place it once was. It is still growing, but now the secret is out and everyone is coming. Texas used to be the move to state for anyone seeking low-cost housing, low taxes, and plenty of jobs. That is still true, but the game has changed. The spread is real. The choices are endless, and depending on where you land, your time could feel like a different country. Let us start with the base. Texas does not depend on just one business. It is a mix of oil fields, farms, chip plants, rocket places, and company offices the size of airports. Energy and tech now share the same view, and renewable power from the Permian Basin to the Panhandle is adding a new part to the state's success story. If your career needs choice, Texas gives it. Dallas-Fort Worth alone has many suburbs, each with its own feel. Good schools, big yards, and summers that test your cooling. Austin has calmed from its pandemic high, but it still mixes tech and food better than anywhere else. San Antonio offers low-cost, military-steady, and house payments you can explain without help. Crime Texas handles it area by area. No major city here is a total problem zone, but every neighborhood has its own story. Healthcare first class. The Texas Medical Center in Houston is practically its own city, surrounded by major hospital systems that cover every big city. The trade-offs property taxes can hurt traffic is no joke. And yard care in August should count as exercise. But if you like choices, this state is a large selection. Would you rather deal with a little spread or run out of chance somewhere smaller? Because up next, we are going east to a state where ports, airports, and new companies are changing the southern way. Number 4, Georgia. Georgia does business like it is a sport, and the score never stops changing. From Fortune 500 offices to cyber places and ports full of cargo ships, the Peach State economy is as many-layered as its history. Let us start in Atlanta, the state's clear leader. This is where finance, moving goods, new tech finance, and media software all meet under the world's busiest airport, a wonder that somehow leaves late and still arrives on time. The city area stretches outward with quiet streets, sports fields, and shiny new town homes that cost less than similar ones in most big U.S. cities. Prices remain fair here, and choices endless. Head east to Savannah and the story changes. It is a port city built on tree charm and movement. Its shipping center keeps workers busy and locals employed while those famous tree-lined streets draw in steady visitor money. Homes here can be higher, especially the old ones. But the payoff is living inside a picture. Further inland, Augusta keeps things practical. A strong military and medical base, lower than average home prices, and that one spring weekend when golf rules the world. It is also growing as a cybersecurity center thanks to the Army Cyber Command and related tech money. Healthcare deep and well-connected. Major systems like Emory, Piedmont, and Wellstar cover the city areas, and veterans benefit from a solid VA presence across the state. Crime easy to handle with smart area choices. Nothing unusual for major southern cities. Here's a bit of fun for your next dinner talk. Atlanta burned to the ground during the Civil War. A century later, the city named its hockey team the Atlanta Flames, only for the team to last 8 years before moving to Calgary. Turns out history really does have a sense of humor. Trade-offs, traffic, and wet air. But Georgia upside jobs, ports, healthcare, and low cost keep it high on move lists. Would you take Atlanta energy over a smaller city's calm? Next, we head north to a state that turned its research triangle into a full career selection. Number 3, North Carolina. North Carolina was not supposed to become a draw. It just happened. What started as a quiet research triangle has grown into a full economy where biotech, banking, and food all somehow fit on the same business card. Let us start with the research triangle, Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, where universities send talent straight into tech, biotech, and medicine companies. Job growth here feels steady and planned. Labs are growing, research parks are hiring, and outdoor areas are full of computer-using workers who actually pay their rent. Head south to Charlotte, and the view changes. This is the money capital of the Southeast, with major banks, energy firms, and plane makers holding downtown. The paychecks are strong, the cost of living is fair, and the suburban spread wraps around quiet streets lined with those classic family homes everyone seems to picture. Then there is the triad, Greensboro, and Winston-Salem, the base of North Carolina making things. It is a place where factory floors meet food sellers, and low cost is not a selling word. It is the way of life. Housing generally lower than most growing states with wide choices depending on how close you are to the biggest cities. Yes, there are pockets of high real estate, but you can still buy comfortably here without going too far. Crime reasonable. North Carolina does not have any very bad cities like some others. Most local crime is around college town fun rather than real danger. Healthcare top level. Duke University Hospital, UNC Health, and a network of strong regional systems make this one of the best covered states in the South and the future bright. EV battery plants near the Triad, growing medicine places, and new tech finance growth in Charlotte are laying a 5-year base for steady chance. Add a few extra storage places, and you have got jobs across every pay level. Oh, and remember the first powered flight happened right here at Kitty Hawk, not far from the well-named Kill Devil Hills. Even flying began here with a test flight that changed everything. Would you chase a job in Charlotte or a new company dream in Raleigh? Stay tuned. Next, we are touching down in a state where steady meets surprisingly busy. Number 2, Ohio. If there's one word that describes Ohio, it is steady. This is not the brightest state on the map, but underneath that modest Midwest calm, there is power. Ohio's name has always been practical families that build, fix, and improve things. But lately, it has been adding something new size. The state is now home to a chip campus the size of an airport, a project that is drawing in engineers, builders, and suppliers from across the country. Combine that with moving webs that handle half the Midwest before breakfast, and you have got an economy that is not just steady, it is well placed for the next making decade. Columbus, the capital, mixes university life with white-collar growth and a young educated workforce. It is modern, easy to handle, and full of building cranes that seem to outnumber the birds. Cincinnati balances company headquarters and riverfront living with that famous chili on spaghetti culture only Ohio could create. Cleveland. It is the comeback child supported by medicine, making, and neighborhoods that can change feel in 3 blocks. Housing here is where Ohio truly stands out. Statewide prices run roughly 15% below the national average, while Cleveland is closer to 30% below. Even in wanted suburbs, low cost remains strong proof that you can still buy comfort without money tricks. Of course, it is not perfect. City centers have hard areas, but most suburbs and inner-ring neighborhoods are safe and steady if you do your research. And if trouble ever finds you, the Cleveland Clinic might literally be the best place in America to get better. Healthcare here is world level, always ranked just behind Mayo Clinic. Ohio does not shout for attention. It just does well. The NFL was born here. Flight was improved here. And apparently chili became pasta sauce here. If that is not new ideas, what is? Would you trade sunshine for savings and world-level hospitals? Because next up, our number 1 is a state that hits the move trifecta: job growth, tax breaks, and housing that still makes sense. Number 1, Tennessee. When it comes to starting fresh, Tennessee checks every box and then adds food. It is the perfect move trifecta: job growth, no state income tax, and 3 cities that feel like 3 different worlds. Let us start with Nashville, the face of modern Tennessee. Once just the home of country music, it is now a leader of healthcare, tech, and visitors. Company offices share views with music places, and the city works with both guitars and new companies. Housing has gotten higher here thanks to its appeal, but compared to the coasts, Nashville is still a good deal and far more fun. Then there is Knoxville, the hidden gem. It is small enough to feel personal, but big enough to matter with University Energy National Lab research and a growing group of healthcare and tech employers. Weekends mean lake days, and college football and house payments are nicely low. Head west and you will hit Memphis, the city of moving goods, making, and medicine. It is the distribution center of FedEx and a major player in America's supply chain. Housing here is still low cost, but know your neighborhood crime runs high in certain areas. Even though visitor zones stay quite safe, statewide Tennessee housing remains low cost even as new people pour in. You will get more space for your money than in almost any major city area of the country. The state's healthcare system is supported by Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, a name known nationwide, while regional systems in Knoxville and Memphis provide special care that is actually within driving distance. And the future electric, really. The large EV complex outside Memphis is only the news. Surrounding suppliers, training programs, and moving networks are creating thousands of extra jobs. Combine that with Nashville growing healthcare tech scene in Knoxville Research Path, and Tennessee growth story is just beginning. The trade-offs, growing problems, traffic competition, and rising demand, but that is the price of success. Would you trade higher taxes for good food and a balanced money plan? Because in Tennessee, the math and the music still make sense. So, what does all this tell us about U.S. movement in 2026? Americans are not chasing news, they are chasing balance. The next group of movers is skipping the high-cost coasts and heading to states that offer something far more lasting. Jobs that last, homes they can actually buy, and healthcare that does not need a long trip. Across the 10 states we have looked at, one idea keeps coming back: steady pays. Chip areas, EV plants, ports, and universities are creating long-term chance where life still feels easy. These are the real low-cost housing states where you can own a home, raise a family, and still have a savings account that works. Yes, the housing market has calmed, not fallen. Insurance and costs are changing, and choices are spreading to new realistic price levels. For buyers, that means the next few years could be the smartest time in 10 years to make a move. Which city surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts below. And if this breakdown opened your eyes, hit subscribe so you do not walk blind into your next home buy. Because smart Americans are not waiting for perfect time. They are already packing for the future.